channel, guys. We're back to work on the 2021 Aprilia RSV4. Man, this thing was absolutely smoked. Now it's time to work on the rear. We gotta finalize all the electrical connections back there. And I ended up picking up a 2021 Aprilia RSV4 factory harness that I found for super cheap online. Let's get to work. I'm ready to see this thing fire up. This section of the rear harness, we have two missing connectors. If we take a look at the used harness, these two connectors, which are the connectors which are next to the broken leads, boom, check that out. Both of the connectors that I'm missing are on this harness, and it even has the same coloring, green and yellow, gray and yellow, and blue. So let's swap those connectors over, but I do have one more issue. Here is one more line that I can't figure out where it goes. But for now, let's get these two fixed, and then we'll tackle that issue. All right, I've got three connections left on the rear harness. Let me show you. This connector right here had a lead break off inside the connector, and I don't think I'll be able to get it out. So I have a replacement right here. Right here is two leads, and I have no idea what goes here, but it is close to the connector I just showed you. So I'm gonna look at the other harness, try to figure it out. And last but not least, this mystery lead that I have no idea goes to what, because I can't find anything in this harness that it goes to. But for now, let's get these two connections taken care of. If any of you 2021 RSV4 base models could send me some quick photos of the rear harness, that would be fantastic. Otherwise, I'll just look it up on AF1 Racing because I'm sure they got a wiring diagram. All the other connectors are good to go for now. And I was actually thinking, this connector looks oddly familiar to the data connector on the Kawasaki. So let's try something out. I am having issues with this thing, but we'll get to that later. The data connector looks almost the exact same. So let's unplug this, try it on the RSV4. Get this little plug out of there. No way. No way, it's an exact match. Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna connect this power cable to the battery and see what happens. No way. It powers this thing up, so the flasher actually works on the Aprilia. I bet Brent Tuning uses the same platform connectors and flasher, just a different file software for the RSV4. That's all I have left in the rear harness. Let's go get that gas tank and figure it out. First of all, this is where it cracked and all the fluid leaked out. And man, that's some thick paint on there. This thing is plastic. Got the connector off of the previous harness for the fuel pump. This connector was on the tank, and that's what these two leads go into. But I'm gonna look for an exact lead to splice into these wires right here. Remember, this piece fits right on top of there. And this piece plugged into this connector previously that we repaired. So let's clean this up, get new terminals on the end of these leads, and get everything back in place. Case cover is on. We gotta wait 90 minutes. It's about 60 minutes now, but now we have an issue on the Kawasaki we're gonna tackle. So the first piece of unfortunate news, some brake fluid leaked out of this cylinder right here and started eating away at the paint on the frame and the plastic. But the main issue is actually with a fault code on the bike. One of the codes that's causing an engine light still on this bike right when I ride it is for the secondary air injection, which is a pair valve. It says the circuit is open and it sits behind this tank. The reason I'm trying to get this problem fixed is because the tune works on the bike, but the engine light comes on and the dash goes back to that flashing mode. So let's take all these pieces off, try to diagnose this. My issue is with the secondary air injection system, and that are these tubes down here that run to all the throttle bodies. Let me turn on the flash. They run to the throttle bodies, and then they all connect to one tube, which runs up here, and it's this right here. We're gonna need to unplug it and plug it into the actual charcoal canister there, that black box. Let's give this a shot, hope it works. bike's back together. We went for a short ride, but the engine light's still on. All right. Now we're gonna erase the error codes and then turn on the bike and see what happens. Bike back together again. Beautiful. Oh, there's the engine light. It's back. The engine light came back. Come on. The engine light is still on, so let's hook up the scan tool once again, see what the code is. Tool, show error codes, P2257. Wow, I've never seen that one yet. Well, I emailed Bren Tuning. They're gonna help me out with this because I have no idea. Enough of the Kawasaki. The case cover on the Aprilia is all dried, good to go. Let's put some oil in this thing, cycle it through. 4 quarts of Racing 14 Mobil 1 oil. There has not been oil in this bike for a long time. It broke that oil cooler line underneath the bike, spilling all the oil out of the engine. Here's the second one. Hasn't seen oil in a hot minute. I'm thinking I'm not gonna put any fuel in the bike just yet, and I'm gonna crank it over and let it turn over, getting all the oil to lubricate everything because it's been without oil for so long. Now here's the last quart of oil, putting it in the bike. Now I watched a recent video from Daily Driven Exotics when they were doing work on a Murcielago that hadn't had oil in it for quite some time. They pulled the fuse for the fuel pump and just let it turn over, cycling all the oil through the engine. So I think that's what I'm gonna do on this Aprilia. Get all the oil lubricated through everything before I actually wanna start it for real. Dipstick is right here. I already spun it out a little bit. Oh dang, right at the top. That's cool. So that is where we're at on the dipstick. I'm sure that level will go down once we cycle the oil through the engine. There's the plug going back on. Now previously I did try to turn this thing on off camera and I heard a click and now the dash doesn't turn on anymore. So I think I might have blown a fuse. Now this is before I had all this wiring taken care of. My guess is why nothing is turning on anymore is this 30 amp, which connects power to the rest of the bike. Underneath here is a 30 amp, which I think I blew. Yep, check that out, blown. Thankfully, in this other harness right here, we do have another 30 amp right here, so let's steal this one. This one is blown, this one is good. You can see that middle piece is together. Pop this sucker in, pop the battery in, go from there. We got the fuel line connected to the tank, got the battery hooked up, got that 30 amp fuse in the relay. The dash is doing that security light thing in the corner. I'm excited to hear what noises happen now that we have a few more things connected. Dash is on. We have a kickstand down alarm. Kickstand is up, but it says it's blinking. Can we prime the tank at all? Just clicking, okay. I think we're gonna try cranking it over. This is gonna be sketch. One down, what happens? Nothing. It's just clicking. It sounds like a blown fuse just clicking somewhere down there. So let's take a look. Pop this off to save battery. Fuses, page 293. You guys know your Spanish? Well, I was in the Spanish section of the book, never mind. All right, right here it says auxiliary fuses are located in the rear part of the motorcycle, so all the fuses have to be in the rear. Fuses in here, we got fuses in here. I'm gonna run through them, see what I find. Guys, I was just messing around with the controls and I swapped it into user mode and the neutral light came on the dash and I touched that and it almost started up. Check this out. Okay, click it down. What? It just almost started a second ago. No way. We're getting oil through it. That's so crazy. All right, let me prime it again a few times. All right, we got oil primed through the engine. Let's check the dipstick, see what the oil level's at. That's so crazy, it makes noise. Oh, we are low, my guy. That's where it stopped this time. We gotta add a little bit more. It's so funky. It only sometimes wants to crank over and prime, and then sometimes it just clicks. But let's prime it again. We added more oil in it this time. Sounds good. Are we about to fire this thing up right now? Let's get some gas, throw it in the gas tank, fire this thing up. Just went around checking, making sure I'm not leaking because it's heavily cracked here. I think it's all drained down to the back over there where the pump is. And that is some fresh 91, only the best. All right, let's start it up. Key on, prime. Not firing up just yet. Is she getting fuel? Try again. Nothing. Really out of fuel. Maybe that fuel pump is bad. Let's keep cycling it through, and I don't know if I'm hearing that fuel pump at all. Try to see if I can hear that fuel pump at all. I'm not hearing this thing at all. Maybe I have something unplugged that I need to plug in. Whoa, that was the fuel pump. Listen to this. It's working now. I think I had to have it one click down and then turn the ignition back on. Man, so close. We got fuel. We heard the fuel pump. Maybe I messed something up with the coil packs? Spark plugs? And I could hear the throttle bodies opening and closing. Well, I hate to leave you guys on this note, but I leave for Florida in a couple hours. That is unfortunate, but hey, we got it to turn over and we got oil in the engine. So when I come back, we're gonna figure this thing out, start it up. Well, we made it to Benjamin's shop. He was waiting up for me. Let's hit the hay. It is about 2:40. We'll see you in the morning. All right, guys, we're out with Benjamin in Florida. We're about to hit some trails on little Yamaha and this bad boy right here. What is this one?
This is a Yamaha 1993 XT225. It's got like a whole whopping like 15 horsepower.
What is that one over there?
It's a CBR 600 with a lot of modifications. This is for hauling cars back to the scrapyard.
Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna hit the trails.